This week's Nothing Burger tastes pretty good considering the current global conflict escalation. I'm Tony with Clarkson Santoro, and this is our real estate update for the week of Friday, June 20th. We know that selling or buying a home can be very stressful and confusing. That's why we do these weekly videos, so you can know how the market is impacting your options as a home seller or buyer. This week, we're sitting at 70 homes on the market, just one less than last week. The average asking price is about the same, $1,961,000 versus the $1,971,000 last week. 6 homes went pending, 3 less than last week, and the average price of those pending homes dropped this week from $2,013,000 down to $1,891,000. And 10 homes, which is 5 less than last week, closed this week. And the average asking price of those homes dropped significantly, or closing price, down from the $2,246,000 we had last week to $1,963,000, which is about just less than $240 less, or $260. So pretty significant. So now that we know how the market has performed this past week, we like to look at the broader indicators and trends that help us understand where the market might be heading. If you find this information helpful, before we look at those indicators, why don't you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on future updates. And while you're at it, why don't you click that share button and send it to a friend? Everyone deserves to be in the know about their local real estate market. Okay, now let's look at those broader indicators. Inventory is still floating around the 70 mark, which has been the case for about 9 weeks now. There really isn't much more to say that we haven't already said about the current inventory levels. The turnover rate stayed in the same range this week also. It continues to hover right around that 50%. This seems to be right where it will stay for the foreseeable future, especially as global conflicts continue to escalate. That tends to put a damper on any market movement. With those first 2 indicators remaining flat, it's no surprise to see that our over-under number has continued to dip this week, pretty significantly actually. Actually, the only thing that really surprises me about this statistic is that it took so long to dip into that under range with how slow this whole year's market has been. The average sales price has seen some significant swings in the past 3 weeks. You know, we were up and then we were down and then we were back up and then we're coming back down again. The fluctuations in the trend line, We use a 30-day rolling average to try and minimize those fluctuations in the trend line, but with so few homes actually selling each week, the average price is prone to huge swings because of the small sample size. What's more interesting about this stat is that we are sitting at just 160 total sold homes this year, which is less than we had in 2023 at the same time of year. In 2023, we only had 366 total sales that entire calendar year, which is nearly half of the annual average sales volume in San Ramon. So with that in mind, it's safe to say that we'll be even lower if the trend continues this year, which is significant. The QQQ fund held firm this week. No major movement up or down. It did tail off just a little bit, about 2% this week. But considering the new escalation in the Middle East with Israel and Iran, it's a good sign that this fund basically held steady, I would say. And speaking of holding steady, with just hardly a noticeable decrease, interest rates remain in the high 6% range. They did come down 3 basis points, down to 681 from the 6.84 last week. But the reality is that minor fluctuation won't really affect the day-to-day rates you're looking at as a home buyer in the mortgage rates. So this week was another one of those nothing burger type of weeks. No major movement one way or the other. In a sense, that's good news though. I keep saying this, but the fact that we didn't see huge market upheaval with the Iran-Israel situation and what could turn into more United States involvement is a positive sign this week, I think. It would be very reasonable to see the stock market take a step back, with the White House making noise about joining in on another international conflict. But if our market can hold steady for the next couple of weeks and not take any huge steps backwards, I'll count that as a win. Thank you for joining me on this weekly update. I hope it helps you understand how our market is impacting your options. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below and ring the notification bell so you can stay informed on how this market continues to shape up and if we actually start seeing more homes sell so that we don't fall behind 2023. And if you have any questions about how you can navigate the stressful, confusing process of selling or buying a home, especially in this weird market, reach out to us directly or leave a comment down below. We're here to help guide you every step of the way. Thanks for joining me. Have a safe weekend, and I'll see you next week with a new update.